It's Radio 2, and I'm very delighted to welcome onto the show now Chris Lilley, who I've long admired, wanted to get on the show a really, really long time ago. And I think, Chris, you don't do many interviews, do you? You don't chat
I
so
never
much.
do it. I don't know what's happened. I'm all over the radio these days.
Yeah.
No, I never...
Have you had a change of heart, or just...
I just like it. I like to do stuff that's fun, and I like making the shows, and sometimes when you have to really promote yourself, it's sort of a bit awkward, but I think I'm a little more comfortable with that now.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, I guess if you're passionate about what you're doing and there's something you're promoting that you really want people to know about, then you'll do anything to get it out there.
Yeah, I want people to see it because I love it, and yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. So it's nearly 10 years since We Can Be Heroes, and that came out on TV screens in Australia, and it's just been a gentle kind of building process of the programmes that you've made, Summer Heights High, Angry Boys. How did it all start in the very beginning? If you can just tell us the journey, where it began.
Well, I used to do stand-up comedy, and I started to play characters while doing stand-up, so I'd get on stage. I didn't dress up, but I'd just become a character on stage, and I just really got into it. And so I made a few short films about the characters, and then I got picked up from that and ended up in a sketch comedy show in Australia called Big Bite.
And were some of the characters that you were doing then characters we know today?
The character I used to do on stage was Mr. G, and he ended up in the sketch show that I did.
Hang on, I know a job where I can sing and I can dance and I can act every day and get paid for it. And it was drama teaching. No, I'm always joking with the principal. I always say to Margaret, you've got yourself an entertainment industry professional for the price of a teacher, so where's my pay rise?
Okay, so tell us about We Can Be Heroes then, what the premise of it was.
Oh, so We Can Be Heroes. So I had this idea of playing a whole bunch of different characters who were all nominees for the Australian of the Year award, which is a real thing, it happens every year, and one from each state in Australia. And I thought, if this is like a fake documentary, I can just do a whole range of characters. So I play a Chinese student who's sort of has this scientific invention thing, but really his love is musical theatre.
I used to always say physics is fun, but I would spell it with a PH, fun. How do you spell fun?
F-U-N.
P-H-U-N. Physics.
I can't explain all the characters, it'll take forever, but I played a middle-aged housewife and
Nathan was in it, wasn't he?
Schoolgirl. Yeah, and I played twins, identical twins. One of them's deaf and his brother's donating his eardrum.
If you turn round in the next 5 seconds, I'll give you $1,000. See? He really is deaf.
Yeah, all sorts of walks of life and types.
And then it went on, then you did Summer Heights High. How long after that when did that happen?
Well, yeah, that's when I really wanted to pursue the Mr. G character, who I did in stand-up. So, yeah, I had the idea of a show focused around Mr. G, who's this sort of pretty flamboyant drama teacher who's a bit delusional about his abilities, and set in a school.
Hello, boys. Welcome to Mr. G's room, G's room, G's room. Welcome to Mr. G's room. Come inside. Please be quiet, year nines. And take your shoes off.
And
Find a
then
spot on the floor.
decided to have a schoolgirl character, Jamie, who was from We Can Be Heroes, and a schoolboy character, Jonah, who's a Tongan boy, gets in a lot of trouble, and thought that was a nice balance to have. Yeah, the three.
And was it always about making people laugh? Was it always about the comedy, or was it because there's a lot of social commentary that goes on there as well?
Yeah, I do sort of accidental social commentary, and
you do it very well. Oh my God, you made me cry lots of times over the different series you've done.
I don't know. I think I get really excited about trying to make the world as real as possible, and I feel like people will just connect more with it if it just feels like it's legitimate, and that's why I like the documentary format, because I place my characters within a real world, and I cast people who are pretty much the real thing, and sort of you get into a real environment. So Summer Heights High was shot in a real school with real kids, real teachers, and the principal was a real principal, and they have to play opposite these kind of ridiculous characters, and somehow you really connect with it, and people often end up crying, which is a weird thing to happen in a comedy series, but yeah.
But I was reading when you did Jamie that some of the girls were saying at the rap party that it was the first time they met you as Chris Lilley.
Well, I talk as myself, and I'm directing them as myself, and they know me, but they never see me out of the wig and school dress, and so it's weird for them. Soon I can see it in their faces when they see me. They're like, oh my God. The funniest one was in Weekend Heroes. I play in this middle-aged housewife who's invented the sport of rolling.
I've got my eldest Luke, he's over east at university. My youngest Kai left last year. I've got Terry home full-time now, and I've got my cats who keep me busy. My cats, Torval and Dean.
Her husband, Terry, same thing. He never saw me outside the costume. And so we were really he was quite affectionate with me during the shooting, and he'd hold my hand, or we'd sort of like lean into each other and stuff. And then at the wrap party, it was just weird. He couldn't stop staring at me. He's like, I can't believe you're Pat. This is really weird. So it's a very strange experience.
Yeah. I thought it was quite, when I was watching it, I thought it was quite very brave and quite audacious. The treatment of like the underdog. So people with learning disabilities, Mr. G's attitude towards people with learning disabilities, and you actually got real kids in the series as well. And that's a pretty brave thing to do.
Yeah. Well, I think part of me always loves things that are a little confronting and shocking to see, and I just like the idea that Mr. G, he wants to be different, he wants to stand out amongst the staff, and he thinks he's pretty special, and he's befriended this boy who has Down syndrome, and he's really connected with him, and they have this great relationship. But he was just so fun to chat to, and he completely got it. He actually did see me without the wig on, and he totally got that I was playing a character, and in the end it's a nice connection, because Mr. G is the only teacher that's really reaching out to this kid and connecting with him, and everyone else is treading on eggshells and being all like, God, this is the special kid, but Mr. G really is quite fond of him, and it's nice.
It's Radio 2, and we're enjoying the company of Chris Lilley at the moment, Australian actor and comedian extraordinaire. How do you play all of them? How do you research the characters to start off with? How do you get into, just decide what those people like Blake is going to be like and Gran is going to be like?
Well, usually I meet those kind of people, and I'll just hang out with them and just sort of interview them. And
I was trying to think with different characters. Is there one character that you can explain how it works from that kind of thinking? So let's talk about Jonah, because you've got the series which is coming out. So how did you conceive that idea and then kind of get all his mannerisms and work out his story?
Jonah's a tricky one, because I had the idea, in Australia there are a lot of Pacific Islander people, and I'd met a few, and I thought there's something really warm and kind of, I don't know, I just found them really interesting, and then I did some interviews in schools where I met groups of Pacific Islander kids, and I was like, this is brilliant. And I met a few naughty ones, and met teachers who were trying to deal with them. And
Kids in the class don't even care, because they're doing their work and they're concentrating and it's boring, and all of a sudden they get a joke and they just get a little break from their work and they get to laugh. So if that's being disruptive, then that's not disruptive, that's entertainment.
And a lot of it is about the relationship with the teachers. That's kind of where the emotion comes into it, where you can see the people who go the extra mile, who understand Jonah, and people like him. And
that's it.
No matter how rude he is, and they're kind of so frustrated with him, and they get so very, very angry with him. He pushes all those buttons, but
they're all trying different approaches to get through to him, and the funny stuff comes out of the relationship between him and the adults.
I got Jonah to come up with a list of promises that he thought he could fulfil in areas where he felt that he could make an improvement in himself.
I have to do all the work required in class and respect all teachers. I like what you're wearing, miss. Looks nice on you. Is that from
Jonah,
Suzanne's?
What did your contract say about talking in class?
it must be strange being in the position you are now, that it has such a cult following, all the programmes that you've done, and as it continues. But so what do people like towards you in Australia? Like walking down the street, are you starting to get people talking to you, shouting stuff out at you?
Yeah, they do all the time. I think they must really connect with the shows, and I do get a lot of people yelling stuff out. And
Which ones are they going for?
Usually
mostly?
I get Nathan.
Okay.
I get that a lot, and I get a bit of the middle finger, being a reference to the character. Mr. G, all of it. I feel like people think I must be very approachable from having seen the shows, because I can't work it out, but they definitely approach me a lot.
Yeah, but it's strange. It must be very weird.
It's really weird, yeah. Sometimes I think maybe I'm going to offend a certain type of person, like maybe the Pacific Islander community might be offended, or the Chinese community with Weekend Heroes, but they are often complimented, and they like that they're being represented
Well, this goes back to the research that you've done, I suppose. You've talked to people and just kind of you've gauged whether it's appropriate or inappropriate what you're doing.
Yeah, I think maybe they see that it's pretty accurate, so they're forgiving of stuff.
What have you done that's overstepped the mark? What are the things that you've done and you've thought, oh, probably shouldn't have done that?
Not much.
Nothing.
I think, I like overstepping the mark. I think my mark is somewhere different to everyone else's. And I think that's probably part of what's intriguing about the shows, is you're a little bit uncomfortable and like, I can't believe you just said that. Yeah.
You won an ARIA. They're ARIAs, aren't they? Which is the Australian equivalent
Oh, yeah.
of the Brit Awards.
Yeah. So that's one of my favourite things I've ever won, because I'm not a musician. I'm not, well, I guess I am, but so yeah, for the soundtrack for Angry Boys.
I want you to get your elbows out and slap them. Slap my elbow, you do it like this.
So that was really cool.
Yeah. So I mean, you move pretty well. You've got some really good dance moves as well. So you can sing, you can dance. Did you go to stage school? Did you in the
Not
beginning?
at all. No,
Wow.
the school I went to was not very into the performing arts as well. So I think because I write stuff myself, I just come up with crazy ideas, and then I have to do what's on the page. So for the Jonah series, there's a lot of dancing, and I'm not a dancer at all. And well, I guess I am, because I just had to make sure I got it right. I was like, you got to do this now. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're constantly scaring yourself and making yourself learn new things.
Yeah.
So were you the underdog when you were at school?
Definitely didn't fit in, but in a sort of like just wasn't into the authority figures and didn't want to do what I was told.
And did you have special teachers who helped you?
I did, yeah. Yeah, it was like a graded classes. I was always in the bottom class, and then I'd have to get pulled out for sort of special attention. But I really liked those teachers, and there was one particular teacher, Mrs. Webster, who was just so the one-on-one tutoring with me, and
She really got you.
Yeah.
And so did you know what you wanted to do when you left school? Were you...
Oh, you know what? I used to dress up as teachers. I used to impersonate teachers at school and dress up as characters. And anytime I had to do a speech, I would turn up as a character. And it's bizarre how similar it is to what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
I mean, I got a little sidetracked sort of thinking I had to do something more conservative and serious. And then I was like, nah, screw that. I'm gonna put the wigs on and the dresses and the crazy costumes.
Oh, I think you're doing very well because you're entertaining, and also you're making a big point as well. If you had to, let me ask questions, because my kids, A, I'm a super fan, and B, all my kids are super fans as well.
Oh,
so I asked them to come up with some questions. So my son Cass, who's 12, who's obsessed with all of them, just wants to know who was your favourite character that you played in Summer Heights High in particular.
In Summer Heights High, definitely Jonah. Like sometimes, like I write the shows, but having to actually play certain characters is really grueling, and I mean I love it, but it's hard work. And Mr. G was really hard work because he's just so sort of intense and just always on and really buzzy all the time, and he had to dance and sing and stuff. It was hard work. Whereas Jonah, I just relaxed into it, and he was so fun. Like, yeah, definitely Jonah in that show.
Okay, Cass also wants to know, are you doing any more of Summer Heights High?
Well, I like to do, I've never done a part 2 of anything, so it's this strange thing where each show evolves into the next one, so they're all connected, and they're all another series, if you like. It sort of all flows together.
And when it comes to British comedy, do you watch are there any British comedians that you really rate and look up to?
I used to watch, on the ABC, there were a lot of like repeats of old English sitcoms and stuff, like George and Mildred. Oh, do you remember that? Like, yes. Honestly, I used to watch a lot of British stuff, and The Goodies. I was obsessed with The Goodies and watched that over and over again.
God, it's a certain era that you're evoking now.
Yeah,
with The Goodies and George and Mildred. I'm trying to think what else was
George and Mildred. I can't believe I
Eutha
remembered
Joyce.
that.
Eutha Joyce was the woman who played Mildred.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember the guy's name. People will be texting in to let
Love
me know.
Thy
that.
Neighbour.
Yeah, Love Thy Neighbour. Yeah.
I don't know if those shows were made for 8-year-old kids in Australia, but I was tuning in.
They resonated with you.
Yeah.
Chris, it's been lovely to talk to you. Thank you very much indeed
you
for
too.
coming in and putting yourself through an interview.
That's
even
right.
though it's
Thanks,
not your favourite
Jo.
thing in the world. But thank you.
No, it's been fun. Thank you.